Hello, it's your girl, Dr. Rhonda M. Lawson, and I am back with another episode. And I have a very lovely guest with me tonight, and I'm so excited about interviewing her because she is doing what every new author wants to do. She is doing it right now. So I had to have her on the show to talk a bit about her journey. And I don't want you to think that because she's a debut author with an amazing book out that this was by happenstance. She put that work in, and so I really wanted to meet her, talk a bit about the book, talk a bit about her journey. But before we get into that, I just want you all to help me to welcome Miss Malika Stevely. How are you
Hey
tonight?
everyone. Hi, Dr. Rhonda.
Hello, hello. Well, first of all, let's just jump right in because there's so much to unpack. I was reading your bio and I was like, wow, she has done a lot. So it's almost hard to call you a debut author because you've been writing for a very long time.
Absolutely. Most of my life. And one of the things that I said I was going to do is use the gifts that God gave me and use it to the fullest.
Yes.
And there I've been a journalist, and so I was also writing newspaper articles and interviews and things of that nature. So in a way, writing for someone else, but I never really gave my writing a full chance, I don't believe.
Mm,
And I've written other books before, but I
mhm.
felt as though this one was the strongest. The name of my book is Song of Redemption, and I was writing it for someone who did not have a voice. And
Mm.
so it became extremely personal, and it was something that I felt that I needed to do. So yeah, so that's been my journey in a nutshell.
Wow. So, can we talk a little bit more about that? When you say writing for someone who didn't have a voice, what does that mean
Mhm.
to you?
So well, in this sense, this was someone who, let me back up.
Okay.
The protagonist in my book was a lady who was enslaved, and her remains were found in the wall of the mansion in which she worked.
Oh, wow.
And her remains were not found until 1932. And so no one really took the time to find out who exactly she was, what her journey was like, what happened to her, why was she punished in this manner.
Yes.
And as a journalist, I felt as though it was my responsibility. Now that I know this story, it was my responsibility to give her a voice and share her story. And it turned into the book Song of Redemption.
Wow. First of all, that is heart that's first of all heartbreaking.
Yeah.
That someone could die in this manner and nobody found her, and you have to wonder, did anybody look for her? Did anybody ask for her? And so when you were doing this research and then you dug in and wanted to tell this story, um how was that process? I mean, was it like peeling back an onion peel, basically where you peel back one layer and then realize there's another layer you need to pull back and so on and so forth?
That yeah, that's exactly what it was like.
Mm,
And just to give a little bit of the backstory, a little bit of context. So there was a construction crew who went to refurbish this home in
mhm,
1932, and the person who found her, it was his daughter who told me the story.
mm,
And therefore, and I it was one of those stories that stuck with me. And I felt as though, again, I needed to write it. And when the woman who told me the story, when she passed away, the story would have died with it. So I said, I've got to do this research. And
yeah,
when I started doing the research, it was extremely hard to find. And there were a lot of missing pieces. There were a lot of documents and reports that were missing due to natural disasters, because this was set in Louisiana. So you had all these
Mm,
hurricanes that have happened
yes,
since then. The more recent huge one, Hurricane Katrina.
yes,
And so I needed to get in touch with the coroners and a number of other places that held archives and the library. And so it took a lot of digging. I also went there. I went to New Orleans. I went to Lafayette, Louisiana, where it's based, and I spoke to some of the people there. So it it was a it was an amazing journey, and I felt as though I was not just closer to her. The protagonist is Danielle, so not just closer to
yes.
Danielle, but closer to my ancestors. I'm a genealogist, and I've been a genealogist since I was a teenager, and just just going back and going through records, going through census records and microfiche and all of that, and learning the journey of the enslaved,
Yes.
I felt that much closer to my own family.
Wow. First of all, I didn't even know you were a genealogist too. So you've had many lives prior to becoming an author. So
Mhm.
when you got ready to tell this story, it seems that you were already prepared for the amount of work that it would take to bring this story the honor that it
No.
deserves. Really, you weren't? Oh,
I
wow.
was not. Like, I knew it would be a lot of work, but I didn't know how much, and I didn't know how emotional I would get telling this
Mm,
story and learning about this story and the people who lived this life.
yes,
So yeah, so there were some things I just was not prepared for whatsoever. I wasn't prepared for when I started writing it. I wasn't a mom, and by the time I was done writing it, yeah, I was a mom, I was a wife, and I felt as though I needed to know what that felt like in order to
mm,
finish this book. Because I remember saying, now I get it. Now I know why certain decisions were made and things of that nature from the characters. So it's yeah, there are a lot of things I was not prepared for, but I'm extremely grateful that I was able to experience it.
I almost fell in my chair. I don't know if you saw me. I sunk down and then I had to come back up.
See, I wasn't gonna say nothing. You played that off though real well.
I know. I was like,
That was slick. I love
thank
it.
you very much. These are things that happen on live TV. So, um, so when you set out to write a fiction novel, was this your catalyst to writing fiction, or were you looking for a story and this was the story that presented itself? Um, I don't know. I guess it's almost a chicken and the egg type situation. I'm wondering if this experience led you to becoming an author because you wanted to tell this story, or were you planning on one day being a fiction author or being an author, and this story presented itself, and you said, "Okay, this is going to be my story."
Well, yeah, I had always planned on being an author, and as I mentioned before, I'd written other books, and I felt as though this one was the story that just
Right,
kept poking
right.
at me. And it was to the point where I had to set all the other things aside, all the other books and novellas and whatnot, set that to the side because this needed to be at the forefront because this happened to a real person. Um,
And that's what I felt as I was listening to you talk about this story, that
mhm,
this story needed to be told. And
yeah.
I think you were the right person to be able to tell this story because you put the time in, and I know you said you weren't prepared, mentally prepared for the journey it would take you on, but
Mhm.
I think you were prepared for that journey. You were mentally prepared once you got into the, okay, I can handle wherever this story takes me.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm very grateful for the journey. There were a number of times when I had to just put it to the side and just like step back because the story was so intense.
Yes.
And there were moments that I knew what was coming next and I didn't want to write it. But
Mm.
I knew I had to, in order to authentically tell this story. So yeah.
So now you said that you're planning on this book becoming an audiobook.
Correct.
And you
So
went
it
through a process, you went through an audition process.
That is correct. There Yeah, the process was it was somewhat of a challenge, but again, I'm very grateful for that challenge and for the lessons learned as well. With So it's currently in production at this time, and it took a moment because I always wanted to do this in an audiobook, but it took a long time. First of all, because there's Louisiana Creole in this book, and there's different dialects of Creole, and
Mm-hmm.
so I needed to find like the right person um, who can say the
Yeah.
dialect or speak it properly. And then I also needed to find a technical consultant, which I did find. So that took a minute. And so the audition process. Okay, so let me tell you about that. so, so that in itself was very interesting. I had a number of fantastic voiceover artists and just very gifted and talented people, but I needed the right person for this. I kept getting people who would contact me and they would read the script, and come to find out it was AI. So it was AI
Mm.
generated. It was not a real person. There were certain influxes in the voice where I'm
Yeah.
just like, no, that's number one, that sounds fake. Number two, that's not what I want. I need to feel that happiness. I need to feel that grief and all the emotions that come with it. I
Yes.
didn't hear that in AI whatsoever. so a-
Mm.
and so there's this the technology that's out there
Yes.
is it's getting to the point where you can't tell whatsoever, and that's part of what the actors strike was about. Remember when they had the actors strike not too long ago? So that was part of what the whole strike was about AI and how it's tricking people these days. And so
Hmm.
I've experienced that in the whole audition process. And so that was one of the things I was not prepared for. so
And I'm really glad that you decided to make that point because we hear people who will say AI is making things easier, or AI, um, or are you letting AI write your book for you, or are you letting AI edit
Mm,
your book for you? And you hit the nail on the head because AI might be able to write a book, and or it might even be able to edit a book, but it's not going to give you the heart and the soul that you're looking for that makes the story real. So yeah, anybody can string some well-crafted sentences together, or they make sure all of the words are spelled correctly and the grammar is good. But when it
mhm.
comes to the true heart and soul, and especially me, I'm from Louisiana, and I know the heart
Oh,
and soul of Louisiana. I'm from New Orleans,
yes,
and
nice.
if I'm hearing that, I want to be able to believe the person who's reading that story to really feel like they're from New Orleans and that they understand New Orleans. And
Hmm.
unfortunately, machinery is not going to be able to do that for us.
Right, exactly. And a lot of people are unfortunately using it to write books, and it's like you said, it's you're not getting the heart of it. You're not getting the full emotion. And also, somebody else might have that same book and they're putting
Yeah.
that out there on the shelves as well. In the whole in marketing world, there's a lot of people who are very nervous, if they're content creators
Yeah.
or they're what have you. They're Some of them are very nervous because AI is out there and they're afraid that they're not going to get the clients that they want, because clients are going to AI. But
Right.
the issue is that the clients need to know they need to know who their target audience are. They need to be able to speak directly to the target audience, and that's something that AI cannot do. So I mean, I've never been too concerned with AI because it's missing just so many aspects of it.
Mhm.
So for anybody who's out there who's thinking about writing a book via AI, don't do it, because there's also technology that can tell when something is written by AI, and you're going to get caught.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, schools have gotten very, very strict on that lately. So yeah, I would be
Hmm.
very careful of that. Um,
Right.
so I think also, I grew up with a love for writing, and it sounds like you did as well as I listened to your history. And you were a journalist. You interviewed a number of icons.
Hmm.
Especially you've met Maya Angelou. I just don't see how anybody who's been able to talk with Maya Angelou will want to use AI for any type of writing.
Exactly.
So what was that experience like to be able to meet someone like that? Somebody who just really treasures culture, treasures our history, treasures writing in general. Uh-oh. Did I lose you? I think she just froze. Malika, are you still there? All right. Technical difficulties. Oh, there you are.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I'm not
I
sure what happened. Did you hear anything I said?
Yeah, you were asking about that experience interviewing
Yes.
Dr. Maya Angelou. Well, let me just say, I had been trying to interview her uh, for a number of years, and I remember writing her letters and going to some of her lectures, and not really having that opportunity to meet her. And it wasn't until I started working for a newspaper, and I saw this was when I lived in Arizona. She was going to be coming to Arizona, and I told my boss, I said, I've got to meet this woman. I said, this would be a dream come true.
Yes.
I can get that exclusive interview for you all. And he said, okay, I'll set it up. And so I was able to. First, it was a phone conversation, and we were only supposed to talk for about 15 minutes. We ended up speaking for an hour and a half,
Wow.
and I might have cried. And it was just there were a number of things that we talked about on record, but mostly off record, about writing and about reading, and about her journey as a single mom, and why she felt it was so important
Mhm.
to introduce reading and writing to her son. And another thing that she also said that just stuck with me, um, she was talking about how she felt as there was a point in her life when she didn't necessarily feel um, like she was good enough,
Mm,
and she talked about having imposter syndrome. She didn't call it that, but the more she was talking, I said, that sounds like imposter syndrome. Maya Angelou has imposter
right.
syndrome. And so she was, she started speaking on a time in her life when she was a single mom, and she was smoking, and she was, doing, had a whole bunch of bad habits. And her mom came to her and said that she was, and I'm trying to get this right, the most amazing woman she's ever met.
Mm.
And she couldn't understand why her mom would say that, but then she thought, well, why wouldn't I be? And so she decided at that point to, you know, step into greatness and prepare for greatness. That was the term she used, prepare for greatness. Um, and um, and just listening to that was just so inspiring.
Yes.
For anybody who's either who feels like they're not enough or good enough, or anybody who has imposter syndrome. It was just very beautiful, and it's just one of those things that stuck with me. And then after the interview, she asked if we could meet in person,
Wow.
and so we did. We met
That
up.
says something about you. She wanted to meet you in
We met
person.
up, and oh no,
Uh-oh. Did we lose each other? I don't know what's going on, y'all. I guess maybe Mark is right. He said he's blaming AI for the technical difficulties. The conversation was getting good, so I need her to come back. Okay, I think she's going to be back in a second, y'all. But we have been talking with author Malika Stevely. And if you have not had a chance to read her book, Song of Redemption, please go out and get that book. It is a very beautiful story, and it's based on very true events. And it takes place in Louisiana. Okay, I think she's all the way gone now, but she is back. Are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, I don't know what's going on tonight, but that's okay. We're going to get through this.
I do. I changed my settings for my. I changed it to a hotspot because I said I'm not dealing with Google Fiber right now. I tell
Uh,
you, technology. Gotta love it.
well, Mark, I don't know if you saw the message that Mark said he blames AI for technical difficulties.
Yes, Mark. We got to blame somebody. Let's blame AI.
Yes, yes.
um, so I believe what I was. Oh, we
Yeah.
so we did. I did
Meet in
meet up with
person?
her in
Mhm.
person, and it was before her lecture. So I met with her backstage, and I said, "Okay, I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna cry." And she she said, "Well, I had to meet the woman who did such a beautiful interview, and I'm so glad that I met you." And of
Oh.
course, I'm like, and so I asked her if I could take a picture with her, and so she was sitting in a she was in a wheelchair at the time,
Mhm.
and so I knelt, beside her to take the picture, and she said no. She said, "Do not kneel to anyone except God." I
Mm,
said, "Yes, ma'am." Yes, ma'am.
mm. All right now.
So yeah, it was a very powerful experience and life-changing experience speaking with her.
Well, that is amazing, and yeah, that's an experience you will never forget. And I'm jealous of you that you were able to have this experience, but I appreciate you sharing it with us. So,
Sure.
when you restarted, I was telling people about your book. It's telling us a beautiful story. We didn't see the cover. There it
It
is.
might be, yes. So it's Song of Redemption by Malika J. Stevely.
Beautiful, and it already has us. Tell us about that nice sticker on it.
So Song of Redemption is a finalist in the International Book Awards, and also the Next Generation Indie Book Awards as well.
Congratulations. I told you you're doing
Thank
things that
you.
a lot of new authors want to do.
Thank
So,
you.
but
Thank
you
you.
you've really put into you really put in the work for this. So, How is this process that a new author is able to get these accolades and to write such a powerful story? I already know how you wrote the powerful story, but
Mhm.
everything just seemed to kind of line up for you. You were able to tell a powerful story. You were able to get a publisher. You were able to get these awards, and
Mhm.
it hasn't even. How long has the book been out?
Since January 22nd, 2022, to be
So,
exact.
so almost 2 years.
Hmm. Yes.
That's amazing. That's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. It was a lot of prayer,
Yeah.
and yeah, just the whole process was a learning experience. It's actually self-published, and I had to self-publish it because when I was at the time when I was looking for a publisher, and I was looking for a literary agent, I kept getting, oh, this is a great book. It's this, it's that, but it's not for us.
Mm,
And so, so I was like, okay, well, a rejection is a part of the whole process, and I'm okay with that, and
mhm.
I also celebrated when I got my first rejection, because that meant that the process was starting. And by the fifth no, or the fifth, we love this, but it's not for us, I said, okay, well, what's up?
Yes.
I said, what's up? And I was told by multiple people, we love it, but it has the potential to be banned. So,
Really?
oh yeah. So this was when the rumblings of critical race theory was
Yes.
getting louder, and they were banning books more and more. And so I said, okay, well, no one is going to dictate whose story I can
Yes.
tell.
Yes.
And I mean, because we've already been through that as Black folks. So I'm like, oh no, you are not going to tell me that I cannot come out with this book, or there's not going to be a middleman. And so I ended up just publishing it myself. And I didn't know how to feel about that. I felt as though, I felt as though I didn't accomplish what I wanted to accomplish. But then the more I thought about it, the more I thought it happened the way it was supposed to happen. You have your big publishers who
Mm,
probably would have changed the whole story. They probably would have changed some of the characters, or
that's
taken some of the
true.
characters out.
That's true.
So, something that is so close to your heart probably needs to be self published. And so, I'm very grateful for that journey, and I'm very grateful for the no's.
Do you
And
think you're
so,
going to stay self-published?
I'm not sure. We'll see. Yeah, we'll see. And I think that's the beauty of being an author. And we have choices now,
Yes.
and we have resources, and we have Dr. Rhonda, who's got her many services that are fantastic. So who knows?
Well, the thing is, the options are there, and it's wide open. And even though being a self-published author, you still made sure that you expanded your reach, and you got the book in front of the people who needed to see it, and your gift made room for you.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah, and I'm
congratulations for that.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, and it took a lot of research in order to see what that process is like for people who are both self-published or want to be at a certain level. And I always thought, okay, well, why not? What makes me different from any of those other folks who have their books on the shelves and whatnot?
Yes.
That it's it's to me, it's all marketing. It's also a popularity contest. But I can go on and on about that, but I won't.
Well, I wish you could. So, we're at that 30-minute mark, but I would love to have you back on the show so we could talk more about your book, your experience. Let everybody know where they can find your book, because I know that people this is a book that people need to read. And I know you said
Mhm,
it's going to be on audio soon, but is it
mhm.
it's on ebook too?
Yes. So you can purchase the book in ebook, and it's Also a hardcover book as well. It's available wherever books are sold online. So barnesandnoble.com, Target, Walmart, Amazon. So wherever you buy your books online is where you can purchase Song of Redemption. You can also visit me on my website, which is malikajstevely.com. And I'm also on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, or X as we're calling it now. But yeah, I have a number of book clubs who have reached out to me as well, and so
Wonderful.
I do book clubs as well. So, and speaking engagements. So
Well, once again, congratulations on your success. I'm
thank
looking
you,
forward to just diving deep into this book because the story is powerful. It,
thank
it
you.
really
Yeah,
is, and thank you for giving that lady a voice because people needed to hear her story, and
absolutely.
it's sad that there are people who are in her position whose voices will never be heard, their stories will never be told. But thank you for
Hmm.
telling her story.
Absolutely, and thank you for allowing me to share a little bit about it on your show.
Thank you so much. Well, you enjoy the rest of your evening. God bless you, and enjoy
Thank
your
you.
Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving to you.
Thank you. Have a great
Bye.
one. Bye bye.
You too.
All right, y'all. That was author Malika Stevely. Um, Her website is still on the screen for those of you who want to go and get this book. I say go get it because I'm gonna get it myself, and I'm not just gonna lead you guys in any direction. I'm gonna tell you if I'm telling you to get it, I'm gonna get it too. But now, in the meantime, I am about to bring on another great author, Mr. Royce Dixon. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm wonderful. I'm also excited. I didn't get to show everybody my new sweatshirt. Can you see it?
All I want for Christmas is bestsellers. Yes, love it.
Yes, all I want for Christmas is a bestseller. Oh,
Yeah,
and wine. That's what it says at the bottom of
that's right.
it. So, yeah, that is part of the Team MTW holiday line that we just launched. So we're going to be having some Black Friday specials. So anybody who would like to get this hoodie for yourself, um, you can go to our Etsy store, and I'll be putting that link in the chat a little bit later. But in the meantime, before we get into that, I want to get into this author who is on our screen right now, Mr. Royce Dixon. You are a man of many talents. You are my fraternity brother,
Yes, come on.
and you are a photographer,
Yes,
and you are an author of how many books?
four,
4 books.
four
So
books.
let's jump into. You're doing a lot of stuff here.
Yeah, I'm also a full-time bailiff.
A full. I didn't know that part.
Yeah, full-time husband.
How do you find time to do all of this?
I don't know how I do it. I'll be honest
Yeah.
with you. I
Well,
just
let's not even wait a minute. We gotta all of this that we just said, and he is also a family man. You have a wife and how many kids?
two kids, two kids.
Two
Well,
kids.
they're not kids anymore. They're adults, but they're still my babies.
Well, see, maybe that's partly why you have time now because they're adults now.
Right, right. That's true.
Well, so let's talk a bit about it. First of all, Mark Bosajor is shouting you out, your
Hey,
fellow
Mark.
she brother.
Yes, yes. And congratulations for joining the team, the She family.
Yay! All right, so I don't know where to start because you do so much. What came first? Was it the photography? Was it the
Actually,
day job, or was it
no,
the
it was
books?
my day job, and then
Okay.
I went through the divorce, and then got remarried. And once I got remarried, everything just kind of blossomed from there. So I started writing my. It's actually the second book, but this is the first book that I started writing, Blessed While Broken.
Oh, nice.
So this is a book about my marriage, divorce, getting remarried, and how we stay together now, and how we try to help people stay married and hit the reset button is what we say before you get divorced. So it was in writing that book that I realized that I had all these hidden feelings that I didn't realize I had. So I ended up writing this book, Hidden Feelings, which talks about why men have a hard time sharing their feelings or showing emotions and
Mhm.
what plays a part in that. Being a bailiff, I hear all kind of different stories, and just from my own personal life, so I just kind of put it all together in a story form and came up with that. And so while I was doing all of that, I started Be Blessed Clothing, which is a clothing line me and my wife started together. I was always one who didn't really like wearing other people's name brand because it didn't have any significance to me other
Mm.
than just their name brand of being fashionable or whatever. So we started Be Blessed Clothing, which is just a reminder for people that we're blessed to be a blessing to other people. So that's all we want to do is be a blessing to other people. So through that, even my books are hopefully being a blessing to other people. I got something for the whole family. So I even did a children's book, JoJo's Learning Adventures,
Love it.
and I did all of the illustrations in here as well as the writing. And JoJo's Learning Adventures is about a 4-year-old boy who loves to learn. Everywhere he goes, he's always trying to learn something. So then after that, I released my newest book, Hidden Feelings Revealed. Is There More? Which is a part two of the first book, Hidden Feelings, and just talks about how he got my main character Troy got over his feelings by talking to a therapist, which we know in the Black community is kind of taboo. We don't really go to
I
therapists
think
or
we're
talk to other
I think
people.
we're just in recent years getting used to the idea of going to therapy and actually normalizing going to therapy.
Hmm.
Because I think before, yeah, we did. We thought we keep our problems inside,
Right.
or therapy is just for white people. We or just for rich people.
Right.
That's not what we do. We handle our problems ourselves.
Right.
And so I'm glad to know that people are really starting to normalize getting help, and it's okay to talk to somebody to get
Right.
help.
And people don't realize mental illness is a real thing. And so many of us struggle with it. I know there was a time when I went through my own depression that I didn't get out of it until I learned to start talking to people. And
Yes,
once I started talking to people, I realized I'm not the only one going through this.
absolutely.
So that talking to other people help. We grew up with that mentality: what goes on in our house stays in our house. That's not always a good thing for us.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my goal, is just try to help other people through some of my experiences, some of the things that I see and hear on a daily basis.
We have a question right here. I put it on the screen for you. Vendetta Lockley. She says she has a preteen grandson. What age group would you recommend reads Hidden Feelings?
I would definitely say a teenager, because it talks about why my main character is the way he is. He grew up, his father died when he was young, and so he was raised by his mother. His mother was a single parent. He didn't have any siblings. So the way the mindset that he had was from about being a man, what he thought a man should be, is from what he's seen outside.
Right,
He grew up in a not so good, in an urban area where there's a lot of, trafficking and different things that's growing up, or what he saw on TV. So he didn't have a real idea of what a man was supposed to be like. And there's so many of us who grow through that. Even sometimes when you have a man in the house, like me, I grew up with both my mother and father, but I never saw my father cry until I was an adult man.
mm,
So I thought being a strong man meant you're not supposed to cry.
right.
So we learn different things. Even when our parents are there, we still pick up some of their habits, and then we carry it with us. I use this analogy all the time. I have two kids, right? A son and a daughter. When my daughter would fall down, I would tell her, I would pick her up, put her on my shoulder or my lap or whatever, tell her, hey, tell daddy what's wrong. And I would coddle her, right? But when my son fell down at that same age, hey, get up, be a man. You know,
Hmm.
don't cry. Get up, take it. So I just subconsciously taught my daughter to express herself, and I taught my son to keep it in. So a lot of things that we pick up, and we don't mean to do it this way, but it just happens. So now I want people to be mindful of how be mindful of what you do in front of your children, because it could hurt them or it could help them.
And and I think these mentalities that we have, it's painful all the way around. I talk a lot about the strong black woman syndrome,
Mm-hmm.
um, where or the angry black woman syndrome. Some people call it. I also call it the strong black woman. But what happens is is we are so afraid of showing our true feelings, of seeming soft. And we
Hmm.
see men go through it, but then women go through it as well, where, we don't want to seem soft. We don't want to seem like we're in our feelings.
Right.
So we keep everything inside. And then when we keep everything inside, sometimes we start to lie to ourselves because we're trying to convince ourselves that we're
Hmm.
unbothered, or that we don't care, or that everything is fine, or you're not going to hurt me, or whatever, or
Right.
I'm strong, that we don't we it comes out in the wrong, sometimes in the wrong way, or in a negative way. So we don't have anybody we can trust to talk to, because if we talk to somebody and then they tell us, why are you even letting that bother you, or
Right.
what you crying about, or why this or why that, and that question you're making you feel weak. And so we try to
Mhm.
convince ourselves, okay, well, I'm not a weak person, so I'm just not going to express this at all. And
Right.
then we don't deal with it. And I
That's
see this happening with both men and women. So
hmm
I don't know if hidden feelings is mostly dedicated to men, but it seems like this is something that women would probably get a lot out of as well.
Yeah, they both can learn from this book. When you think about it, sometimes we want to build this wall to protect ourselves,
Yes.
so we don't want anybody to get in. But that also means nothing comes out either.
Mm-hmm.
So that wall keeps everything in and everybody out. So you're hurting yourself that way too. So we got to be careful. But this book definitely is a help for women to also get to understand why men are the way they are sometimes. Sometimes men grow up without a father, so they don't know how to be that husband because they've never seen the example.
Right.
I say this example about me. I'll open my door for my wife. I pull out her chairs. I still do all those things so that when my son sees it, now he'll know how to treat his wife as he gets older when he's ready to get married.
That's a huge point. Because um g- because we do kind of reflect what we see every day.
Hmm.
And if we see right behavior, if we see respectful behavior, we're going to emulate that. But
Right,
if at the same time, if we see negativity, then we're going to emulate that. And
right.
so what happens when a young man, in this case a young man, does not have that positive example in his life? Where does he go to find that positive behavior?
See, that's why I think it's important for young men to find mentors, or if not, if he doesn't find them on his own, for his parents to take him around. Different things that he likes. Maybe he likes drawing, so take him around some engineers. Take him around what he likes, so you can cultivate that question that he has about what he wants to be when he grows up. Instead of just asking what do you want to be, actually take him around those people who are doing the exact same thing. If he wants to be a doctor, let him find some doctors. He wants to be a lawyer, take him around some lawyers,
Yeah.
even a writer. Let him get that experience early so that he grows up with it and it becomes a part of him versus just something that he's curious about.
Now, I know this is something that you take very seriously because, when I was reading over your bio, you try to help people in different stages of their lives, whether it's a
Right.
single, waiting to get married or wanting to get married, or maybe it's a married couple who wants to reset their marriage, or maybe it's a young person who wants to reset their lives. And as a bailiff, I'm sure that you see a lot of young people who want to reset their lives. Is this where and have you always had this thought process, or working as a bailiff, has that helped you to identify that maybe I can do something, or maybe I can make a change?
Right. It's always been a part of me since I was little. I've always loved to help other people. But
Hmm.
now that I'm a bailiff, I see it so much. When I see father, son, and grandfather all locked up, they're all coming in, chained up and going to court.
Hmm.
It bothers me because I see three lives that have been totally destroyed by generational curses, that
Mm.
nobody would break that cycle to say, hey, this is not going to be my life. So now if I can help anybody, not just when it comes to jail or whatever, but in life in general, like I say, even a young man with hidden feelings, find somebody that you can talk to, or
Yeah.
that wife. If you want your husband to open up, what you may need to do is just make him comfortable, make him feel safe to where he can open up to you. And so when he does open up to you, he can trust you to not to use that information to hurt him.
Yes. Yes.
So
I think that's a huge thing where people don't want to be honest because they don't want it to be thrown back in their faces, or
right.
they don't want it to be used as a weapon later on.
Hmm. For me, I was that when the first time we were married for the first 18 and a half years, I was kind of closed off. I would share some things, but I never wanted to be shared it so much where it might come back on me and it hurt. Not that my wife would ever do that, but I was afraid to take that risk to just be
Right.
that vulnerable. Most men that I know don't want to be vulnerable because we're scared.
They don't
We
want to
grew
put
up
themselves out there.
right. So now I realized that was part of my problem by not being able to open up. It caused a rift in our relationship because there were some things that I needed to tell her that I didn't know how to use my words to tell her. And she would
And
tell me, Royce, just use your words. And that would frustrate me because I didn't truly understand what she meant by
right.
saying use your words. I thought maybe she was saying that you're not man enough or whatever the case to just tell me whatever you're feeling. I just didn't know how to express it.
Now, how long? Now, I know you're saying that, and I know you're saying your wife helped you through this, but
Mhm.
this wasn't an overnight process for you.
No, we were married 18 and a half years before we got divorced.
Mm,
And so 6 months later, after divorce, we kind of got back together, and then we got remarried.
mm.
Actually, 2 years. So we on our what would have been our 20th year anniversary is the day we got remarried. And
Wow.
so now that was in 2013. So now we've been back together 10 years, and now we're learning and trying to help others not to repeat the same mistakes that we made.
Wow. And I'm first of all, that's a blessing that you were able to find your way back to each other and you were
Mhm.
able to make the positive changes that you both needed to keep going and that you've made it work. So I applaud both of you and
Thank
thank
you.
you for sharing that.
Mhm.
Yeah. So we know we have people in the chat, they're loving it.
Hey, Malika.
So yeah, but thank you for sharing that. And that the reason why I asked it wasn't an overnight process because I think
Mhm.
sometimes we get frustrated when we don't see changes happen as quickly as we want them to. But I think one, it's not going to be overnight that changes are made. And number two, sometimes changes are being made, but they're being made kind of slowly because a person's going through a process.
Yeah.
And because you may see it every day, you don't always see the process that the other person is going through.
Yeah.
And so you don't always see those changes because it's going to be gradual. Do you think that's part of what maybe happened with you and your wife as well?
Oh yeah, definitely. When we got divorced, I went back to her trying to get back together, and she
Mhm.
was like, "No, she didn't want to have nothing to do with it or me at the time." She was like, "I
Wow.
only want to be a friend." So I
Mm,
began to question myself and what role did I play in our divorce? And I'm asking God, why me? Why me? And then it began to be revealed to me, why not you? Because you've done some things that got you to this process.
yes.
And so I went back to her because I truly wanted to change to be better. Whether we got back together or not, I wanted to be a better person for me and maybe a better husband for the next time. So I went back to her the first time and asked her, I said, what could I have done to be a better husband? And she's like, Royce, you don't truly want to know that answer.
Mm,
I'm like, yeah, I do. She's like, well, I'm not your wife now, so I don't have to protect you. I can say however I feel, whatever I feel, and it doesn't matter how you feel about it. So she's like, it's best that I don't say anything right now. So I'm like, okay. So I took it. About a week or two later, however long it was, I went back to her again and I asked her again. And she's like, do you really want to know? I'm like, yeah, I really want to know. I want to be a better person. So when she told me, she let me have it. She told me everything that was on her mind, how she felt, and it hurt. But at the same time, it was good for me. And I remember walking home crying. I talk about this in the book. And God began to speak to me. He's like, for all the pain that you gave her, you got to learn how it feels. So you need to feel a little bit of it. So, like I said, I cried all the way home and I just began to start working on myself. And then slowly,
mm,
as we got back together, I would go to the altar in prayer. And it seemed like the closer I grew to God, the closer I grew to her. So as he was working on me, he was also working on her. And I didn't even know it. Because I would go back to her, hey, let's try this again. She's like, no, I don't want that. And even when we went out as friends one day, we had a great time. It felt like old times. We were laughing and joking and just having a good time with one another. At the end of it, she was like, I still don't want to get back with you. And that crushed me a little bit. Of course, pride. But I just kept going back. And eventually she was like, well, let's give it a chance. But it took so long it seemed like it just took forever for the change that really happened. And so when it did happen after we got back together, I remember her telling me one time, "You're better than my first husband." And I thought that was
Mm,
a slap in the face. I thought that was a jab. And I didn't understand it, but I played it off. I didn't say anything the first time. Then she said it to me again. And then the third time she said it, I was like, okay, now I need to understand this. I need to get some clarity here. What do you mean I'm better than your first husband? She's like, you're not the same. You're a different person than what you were the first time.
wow.
And then it was like, I got it now. That makes sense. So yeah,
Wow.
sometimes it takes a while because you don't see it. It's just like a healing scar, a scar on your arm or whatever. It
Yes.
starts to heal from the inside, and slowly but surely, you start to see it scab over, and then you see the skin coming back to its normal color. So that's the way it was for me.
Mhm. Well, first of all, that is a testimony. And never sit on. I know you're not sitting on that testimony because you shared it in your books, but that is a beautiful testimony. And it's a testament that real love, real love can withstand.
Yeah.
You just have to be open to it, first of all. And I love what Trinity said. She said, you took it like a champ, but thank God for change.
Yes.
I
Yes.
mean, and then Malika said, amen for transformation.
Yes. Yes.
So I think this is something that people need to hear, that it's not over until God says it's over.
Right. And that's truly, if anybody wants to change, you have to want to change for yourself. I couldn't just change for Lisa because that would have been superficial and it
Yes.
wouldn't have lasted. I had to change for me. And I can truly, thank God that I wanted to change and that He put that in me to change.
Well, once again, thank you for sharing that. And I did put your Amazon. The link is a little long, but it's also in the chat. Well, I think it's in the YouTube chat, but it's on the screen. I'll also put it on the Facebook page as well, for anybody who wants to click on the link to not only find out more about Royce, but to also get his books. And you have 4 books. Can you show them to us again?
Yeah. So the first one was Hidden Feelings. This was the very first book.
Mm-hmm.
And then the book about our marriage, divorcing and getting remarried. This was my second book. And then we have JoJo's Learning Adventures. And then we have my latest book, which is also on She Publishing. So if you go to She Publishing LLC, you can get this one along with a nice gift package. When I tell you, She Publishing does a great job with their packaging and just everything that they do is 5-star. The best decision I ever made because the other books were self-published. And so this last time when I went with She Publishing, they just knocked it out of the park. I will never self-publish another book again.
All right, now, first of all, She Publishing, amazing. I love Shanita and everything that she's doing, and I'm so glad that you guys will be coming to see little old me in
Yeah.
DC in February. I'm really looking forward to it.
Me too.
But um, I have to agree with you that She Publishing does an amazing job, and the way you all support each other. That's
Mm-hmm.
the way. You're not just a bunch of authors under one machine. And the
Right.
first time I was published under someone else, I did feel that I was just an author in a machine.
Mm-hmm.
And people don't want to feel like that, even if they know they're not the only author. They don't want to feel like they're just another number, and that you don't really care about them. They want to feel like they're included, and
Right.
She Publishing does a great job with that.
Yes.
So congratulations on being under She Publishing. I was really happy to meet you at the National Black Book Festival in
Likewise.
Houston. I was really glad that we connected, and
Yes.
not just because we're both blue and white, but
Absolutely.
but you have a phenomenal wife.
Thank you.
You two have a phenomenal relationship. I love the way that you were supporting each other throughout the weekend, and that's
Mm-hmm.
the way it should be. So
Yeah.
I like the fact that you're not just writing about this, but that you're proving it and you're living it every day.
Definitely. It's the only way I know how to be. People sometimes ask us, I think they wonder if this is real. And all I can do is just say, watch. If you see it, if you sit around us long enough, you'll see it.
That's true. That is true, people. I know I saw it. So what do you have in the works? What's coming up next for you?
I'm actually working on another book. Um, the title may be A Rose on the Concrete Court.
Okay.
So it's about these two twin brothers who go through some things, and their last name is Rose, and they play basketball. So it's kind of play on words
I
there.
like that.
But I think that's going to be a phenomenal book. It's going to, of course, it's going to hit home with some people. You know, we all can grow up in the same house, but we all take our own different paths. So it's a little bit of me, a little bit of my brother, and what he went through. So I'll share more about that later. But I got that, and also a photographer. So I'm after I get done here, I'm going to go take some basketball pictures. So then I'll probably come home and spend some time with the wife again, and we'll do it all again
Wait a minute,
tomorrow.
where are you located?
Rockford, Illinois.
Oh, okay. So are you an hour behind me?
Yes, yes, it's almost 7 o'clock here.
Okay, and it's almost 8 o'clock here. So I'm about to say, what you mean? It's too late to be going out taking pictures of basketball. But
Yeah, this is just something else I love to do. You know, God has given me a gift, so I got to use it before I lose it.
Amen. 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 Well, I want to thank you once again for being on the show. I want to thank you for being a part of the Black History Month Literary Weekend. We will be interviewing you again
Okay.
in January, probably. Or I may even push it to February since we've already, well, no, it's still November. So
Mhm.
yeah, in January and February, there are, and I need to go hurry up and mark these dates off on the calendar because my December calendar filled up so quickly, and I thought I
Yeah.
had, I thought I had a month, a week that was going to be totally free, and I was going to give it to somebody, and then I looked again, and both of the time slots were gone. So we
Yeah.
are actually all filled up for the year, in the Horizons Author Lounge. But in January and February, those months are going to be dedicated to all of the authors who will be coming here to DC for the Black History Month Literary Weekend. So I'll be having you back on the show then.
Okay.
And we'll talk a bit more about your plans for that weekend. If you want to talk more about your books, we're gonna we're just gonna have a good time with it.
Yeah, that sounds
And then,
good.
yes, and then when you come here in February, we're going to be doing coffee with an author. We'll be doing the literary jazz brunch, the Ivory and Cream affair. So make sure you bring your ivory suit.
Got
Yes, I'm letting you know now.
you.
And we'll be visiting schools, and we'll be doing a signing at Barnes and Noble. So it's going to be a really full weekend, but it's going to be a lot of connection that weekend. You're going to have a great time.
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait. I've been talking about it ever since we found out that we were going to be able to go.
All right, I love it. I love it. Oh, God has given me a gift. Hashtag.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
Nancy.
I'm
Yes.
gonna use that.
I love that. And Vendetta, thank you so much. I don't know if you've met
Yeah.
Vendetta. She's a soror as well. She's in New
Okay.
Orleans.
No, I haven't met her yet, but I'm on
Okay.
Facebook, so look me up, or I'll look you up.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, it is 8 o'clock already. I don't know how the time flies this fast, but I
Yeah.
want to. Oh, Mark came last year. He said you're going to have fun.
Oh, I can't wait, Mark. Hopefully you come back.
Yes,
Good to
yes.
see you again.
2025, 2025. But that is all we have for tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. And thank you for supporting the show. Thank you for supporting these authors. And once again, I ask you always to help us to make this show grow even bigger and better because what this show is all about is supporting up and coming authors. We're not always looking for the glitz and the glitter. We're looking at supporting authors who are making it happen every day, who have their boots on the ground, as we used to say in the military.
Mhm.
And this is what we do. We want to support authors, and the only way we can support authors is with your support. So help us to share the show, to support the show. Keep sending authors to me so we can promote them. And this show is free. We do not charge people to be on the show.
Yeah.
So it takes nothing except a share and a like, and maybe even a comment to keep this show going. So we ask you guys to just help us to make this show continue to grow and be a support system to the many authors who are out there. And that's all I have for tonight, guys. Don't forget to go to the Etsy store. I will be posting it on my page. It's already on the Meet the World Image Solutions Instagram. And check out what we have. I'm telling you, there's so much. So we have this hoodie, which is, and I'll show it, I'll kind of stand up so you can see it. The All I Want for Christmas is a bestseller hoodie. We also have the Read, Write, and Be Merry hoodie. I love this one.
Yes.
And then we also have tumblers, we have coffee mugs, we have wrapping paper, y'all. We have wrapping paper. And a few different designs. It's not all the same things. So make sure you go to the Team MTW um, Instagram page, or and then you can click on the link in the bio and it will take you to our Etsy store. Check us out. Check us out. And we will be having some Black Friday specials. So stay tuned for that announcement because that's coming soon. So once again, that's all we have for tonight. Thank you so much for supporting the show. God bless you. Have a wonderful week. Oh, and don't forget tomorrow night, Black Authors Matter TV, 8 o'clock p.m. Be there, be square. And have a happy Thanksgiving, guys. God
You
bless you.
too.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.